Welcome to What the Biz, where we talk about building successful businesses, balancing life, and all the WTB in between. With your hosts,
I'm Bridget Vector.
And I'm Dan Prochko. Well, hey, welcome back to another episode of What the Biz. I'm here with Bridget. Bridget, hello.
Hello.
So you may hear there's just two of us. If you missed previous episode, you know that Richard is on a hiatus at the moment. And so the two of us are going to try out some new things, actually. And so today's actually starting off the first part in a 5-part series, which we'll tell you all about in a second. It stems from what we've been hearing from our clients and feeling ourselves. And so wanted to share with you all. We realize it's a big topic, so it's going to take about 5 episodes for us to explore it all. But before we jump in to that, which I think I've teased it enough, let me just say it's how to deal with down markets. You know, if you're feeling like things are in a downturn, okay, let me just say we're going to explore all sides of that. It's going to be hugely valuable. And, you know, it's all that stuff like, you need to have in place. So hopefully we can make things a little bit easier. But, wanted to share and ask Bridget, how's your last week been?
Oh, I feel like every time I think we're out of a busy season, like, oh, we're done with taxes or, oh, we're done with this. It's like, who am I kidding? Like, we are business owners. I don't know that there is not a busy season. But I am sticking true to, and we were talking about this, our mission with this podcast is something that we both are trying to get to, of being more of a removed CEO. And I feel like every day I am just trying even harder to get there, because I don't know that we have a slow season. So, yeah, things are good. We're busy, and this topic is very timely for us as well. So I'm excited to dive into this.
Well, I bet right now, since we're post tax season, as it were, which I'm sure is not really the end for you, because there's all the businesses that realize, oh my God, wait, we had way too much tax liability. This was way too difficult. We need to bring someone in to help out and clean things up and everything. I'm guessing that's what you're going through right now.
Oh, yeah. And the extension season, so tax season never actually ends. It's just an extended season. So no, it's tax strategy. It's always fun because nobody wants to pay more than they have to. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
I have, as I alluded to before, I think I did on the podcast, writing a book. So I'm still in that. I got just 3 chapters left to outline, and then comes the very easy part of actually writing it. Sarcasm there if you didn't hear it. But I'm really, really excited because it's our playbook on building $1 million business. And we've done it with clients before. So I'm really excited to document it, get it down in a book, and get it out into people's hands to help them get to where they want to get to, because it's all doable. And it's not a secret either. This is what others have done. It's just, I hope that a goal is to put it into a package that's a bit easier to understand and more approachable.
I love it.
So awesome. There's a lot of that right now. Other than that, focus a lot on sales right now, which is, like you said, timely for this conversation. But I know you brought this up because you had been hearing and possibly feeling some things in this realm about market downturn. So what's going on?
I think it is more forefront in maybe what we see day to day, just because we're in numbers. So clients bring it up a lot more often to us because they're normally feeling what we would call, the indicators of, are you actually in a downturn? Are you actually, experiencing signals that you should be paying attention to? So being in the numbers kind of brings this to the forefront for us. But our clients continuously, when they start to feel revenues going down, so either they're actually seeing numbers going down, or it's a gut feeling that they're having that's happening, that's when it starts coming up. And obviously there's many more indicators and signals that we can go through today, but revenue is normally the first one that starts to bring it to somebody's mind.
Yeah, you brought up something real interesting there, because we run into it too, time and time again on client meetings, be like, hey, Dan, it's feeling really slow right now, or we don't feel like we're getting enough leads or enough revenue or whatever going through. And it's an interesting piece, because it always comes back to, well, what are your numbers? What do they show? And, yeah, of course, sometimes we're in a dip. Okay. It looks like you are in a dip. Let's take a look. Or, we'll have already taken a look because we know where they're at. Here's what's going on. Here's the economy, the markets. Here's what we're seeing in trends. Other times it may not be, and it's just something psychological for them. Like they just don't feel busy, which could be a good thing. It could be the processes are in place, and things are working right. So it just feels like it's slow because things work well, or for whatever reason, there's some other perception issue. I don't know. So that's a real interesting piece. So, and I guess I've alluded to some of them already, but what are some things? I mean, I think that's a place to start. Like, what are some things we should be looking at if we feel we're in a downturn?
Well, you have a unique perspective on this because that feeling piece, you can sometimes help somebody realize that it isn't slow. So when I think of on the marketing side that if, they're investing in maybe monitoring traffic or engagement or, how many websites visits are actually converting, like you get a unique perspective beyond just the financial numbers that we have where you can help your clients see maybe it isn't so bad. Maybe your numbers are actually going up and it's just honing in on, okay, what are they looking for? There's sometimes just a slight shift that has to come into play. So you get that unique side of things. Yeah.
That's totally true. We've got, those leading metrics, I guess, as it were, we've got those because marketing is that top, funnel. You don't see any revenue until, after sales is completed and even some execution and operations. So yeah, we definitely do. We really focus on, the lead gen, whatever that conversion is that starts your sales process. That's where we hone in. Most of our focus is right there to help determine downturn. First, if we see those drop and dip, more than 20% in a month over month, and if there's a trend where it's happened multiple months or weeks in a row, that's where we start to look in and see, okay, is there an economic shift going on? And that's where we then go higher and we look at, you're right, like traffic to the website, what's their search, outlay look like? We'll even go larger. What's going on in the economy at large? What do the experts say? Are we seeing things? We definitely saw it at the beginning of the year. In the cleaning industry where we have a lot of our clients, January, February are the worst. Even the first half of March, like those 2.5 months are really from Christmas to like 2 weeks into March are the worst. It's like everything goes off a cliff and everybody thinks it's the end of the world. And it's like, you have to remind them, no, it's the same every year. Actually, this year we're doing better than last year. Like we have more leads coming in than we did the year before. It's just that they had grown so much and had been expecting like, let's just say 100 leads per month. And then they drop down to like 75, 60 because it's that time of year and it's natural. Like it's actually 100% natural. They're still above where like the previous year they were doing 40 a month. This year they're doing 60. They're way ahead of where they were in the past. They just don't feel it because it just, that relativity. So that's how we take a look at signals at that end. And then I know, there's a lot of places that can get it or a lot of business that can get a lot of leads anyway, but maybe don't convert. And so I'm sure that's where you see it on the bottom end then is like, they're saying, oh, our sales are going great, but you're seeing different elements, within either cost increases from inflation or losses in revenue out of attrition, et cetera, on your end.
Well, and it's hard. And I know you experience this too, that it is such a comprehensive process or thing. Like, are you actually in a downturn? It goes, you've got numbers, you've got marketing, you've got, economy, you've got people trends, your customer trends. And then you've also got, okay, is it a break in your sales system? Is it a flaw? It isn't just one area that answers this. And that's, I think, a lot of business owners, and I can be guilty of this. I'm always looking for the one thing that is not working. And normally it's like a all over approach. And then you have to kind of step back and say, okay, what is working, what isn't working? And let's analyze it. And are we actually in a downturn? And knowing numbers is so important because
it's so important.
You have to know something to even know where you're starting. So yeah.
I love what you said there about how it's really a lot of things. And I'm so glad that you brought it back to the numbers where, you can take a look at a balance sheet, your P&L, and you can see over time where things are at. And if you're tracking other elements internally, with KPIs, you can identify what part of that customer experience, which we were talking before the episode, and I love that term. We're going to go more into that. But what part of that full customer experience is causing that bottleneck, I guess. Alluding to what you were saying, your sales might be selling, but if you don't have enough team members to execute, projects are getting pushed further out, so you're not realizing that revenue. And so there's elements there that lead to feeling like things are slow, even though they're not. You're just not able to grow because you don't have capacity, or like we were talking, marketing top of funnel, or other elements within all of that. So I think we mentioned four areas that we feel really impact growth that we're going to explore in our future episodes. First being customer experience. How would you describe that one?
How do I describe that one? Or
yeah. You had a really good thing about this. You had a really good thing about this, about like first impression and how that impacts. I think it's unique. I don't think a lot of owners think about that. We all go into business to do what we do because we think we're good at it or have something slightly better than what's out there, but we don't think about it from this perspective that you were bringing up before. So
I think you're referring. So when I think of sales, we're normally in the woo stage, right? It's like the dating stage of life. You are really turning on the charm to make that sale. And the piece that gets forgotten about is, let's say they made that purchase or they signed that contract and they are now your customer or client. What is their next experience? And if that transition into they are now part of your world and they are, part of your customer base, if they went from being wooed to all of a sudden, there is not a great onboarding process, that isn't a warm, fuzzy feeling anymore. It was oh, yay. So that is a good one to dive into.
Oh, it is. I can't wait to
keeping the woo alive.
Keeping the woo alive. I love it. The next one we talked about was capacity, and I talked about that already. Sales. And we're breaking this into skills and process. I mean, if one, having a team and a process is one thing, but if they don't have the skills to do those elements like discovery, qualification, and actually closing, then there's going to be issues even if you have a process. But if you have a team with skills but no process, you're going to have an issue anyway, because it can lead to people forgetting to sign contracts or not talking with operations to get things started, or et cetera, et cetera. And then
breakdown.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then the last topic we'll talk about is marketing / awareness lead gen, the very top of the funnel. So it's an exciting 4 episodes after today that we're gonna go down. So, I guess just ask everybody to think about these. What do you have for your customer experience? Because we're going to touch on that one next. What are some questions that you think people should think about between now and our next episode?
I mean, taking a look to see, where your company actually is in revenue. Are you feeling, a downturn? And it can go beyond numbers. If you have a customer feedback or an employee feedback way, they may be some great indicators too if something is changing, or your market. Take a look at what's happening in your market. Look at your competitors. If you see them shifting and maybe some of the things they're doing with marketing efforts, that could be an indication that there's something changing in your market as well. So I would just say, addressing, are you starting to have, a downturn around sales? And since we're going to hop into that customer experience next, put yourself in your customer's shoes. What does that actually look like? Right now, what is your customer experience, process and how they become onboarded with you? Be a good thing to have handy as we dive into it.
Yeah, I like that. Taking their perspective, if you were going to hire for the services for your own company, what would you want that process to look like to feel unique and great? Yeah, let's think about that one. I guess on that, some quick little update. We're increasing our frequency, so you don't have to wait to the 4th week of the month anymore for our next episode. We're actually going to be releasing these weekly. So next Tuesday is when you'll see that episode about customer experience hitting your feeds. So that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to hear people's current customer experience, because I am sure that there are companies that have great ones. And I think there's a huge benefit in learning from what others are already doing that, is giving that great wow. You don't have to give all your secrets away, but certainly if you have something that's working really well, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, that's great. Get to our website, whatthebiz.com. We've got a cool little voicemail feature. You can, leave us a message like, what do you do that creates a great experience? Or even what is another company that you see doing something that you think is really interesting that you believe creates a great experience? Have you worked with them before? What is it? I'd love to hear about those stories. And we may just share your voicemail on the episode, actually. So that'll be fun. We'll figure out how to do that technically. Don't worry. So that'll be fun. So another episode down. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Find us at whatthebiz.com. Leave us a review. And until next week, see you later.
See ya.